You're probably gonna have to edit a couple times because I'm a fucking idiot and you know that.
That's a great intro right there.
Oh yeah, no, that's the
Perfect.
perfect intro. That is so on par for me. But
Yeah, that's just how we operate. So, welcome to Honky Tonkin', everyone. We got Harley here with us. She's out of East Tennessee. She's a dance competitor, line dance instructor, and choreographer. Does photo and film media. I've seen you dabble in both, but mainly photo. Graphic design, graphic editing, I've seen. You're a podcaster like me. Look at us. Business owner. You're a devil dog, E4, right? And I think most importantly, you're a mom. So
mm-hmm.
out of anyone who doesn't know you, that's what it is. They just got the skeleton, they got the outline, the sketch of who you are. But if you could put flesh on it, how would you say you came about to Misschif Media and what it is today?
Oh my goodness. You got time? Because boy. So what I do, well, first off, hi. Thanks for having me. This has been kind of overdue for us to have a conversation.
Oh, it's been like 2 years coming.
Like I'm one of the OGs that's been around you since like for a hot minute now.
Oh yeah, 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. So hi, I'm Harley. I'm a Marine Corps veteran and I'm a mom and I do a lot of different things. So when people are like, oh, what do you do for your business? I'm like, well, what are you most interested in? Because I do a lot of things. I basically turned my hobbies into a business because I was getting out of the Marine Corps. Actually, I originally wanted to be a lifer. I was an artilleryman in the Marine Corps, and I was going to lat move to be more family friendly. Because if you know anything about the Marine Corps, artillery is not a family friendly job. So I wanted to be a lifer. I ended up deploying. I got hurt. I like broke my knee on deployment. So I was going to have 3 weeks to get out of the Marine Corps when I got back from deployment. And I had to figure it out. I'm like, great. I had my whole life set to do the dang thing and stay and take care of my kid because even when life, when like when COVID, for example, was a thing, um, I was able to provide for my family. I was able to provide for my outside family, like not even my intermediate. So I had to figure something out. And I was sitting there one day and I was like, I looked at my now husband and I was like, I think I'm going to start my own business. And he goes, well, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I have all these different traits that I can do. Fuck it. There's social media is so different than what it was. I have 10 years. So, little background, I have 10 years of experience with event coordination. I have 10 years of experience in social media. I have almost 10 years experience, just a little under 10 years experience with like graphics and all this stuff that I do. I have a very, very long, lengthy background. I got out of it when I went into law enforcement, and then I went into the Marine Corps. I ended up picking it back up in the Marine Corps because being a woman, you're good at those things. You're good at taking the pictures. You're good at designing things, and being one of 300 people is kind of like a no-brainer. So yeah, I was like, all right, well, I want to work with more small businesses because one thing that's really big about Mischief is that everything's about heart and what you put into it, whether that's your business, your music, your every type of person I work with, it's all about the heart and the story. So that was the biggest thing where I was like, I want to work with small businesses. That is actually where it started. The name, though, fun fact, Mischief was originally going to be called Harleen. I was going to originally be called Harleen because there's always a running joke of like, I liked Harley Quinn before she was mainstream. I've loved her forever. And so that's kind of like where that kind of spiraled from. And then my buddy was like, well, big picture days, if you continue with it and you grow, it's not just going to be you. You're going to want to eventually hire employees. You're going to want to eventually have more than just you. So don't put a name on it. I was like, all right. Okay. My logo is actually kind of cool though. It wasn't cool. Now that I look at it, I'm like, it was a good starter logo. I like this turquoise bull skull gem. And then over top of it, it said, be a decent effing human. And if you don't know who I am, that is my motto for everything. Everything in my life. It's been my motto. I think I started it in 2020. In 2020 when I had my first podcast called Women with an Effed Up Mind. That was my motto, and I've just kind of stuck with it and ran with it. Whatever. So then I got to thinking about like names. I don't fucking know because I don't want to start something and then not. I'm gonna have to change the name. Like branding, I've changed my logo probably like think I'm on my 4th logo now, but the name itself, like that's what you're gonna be.
Yeah, that's the beauty of being a graphic designer, eh?
Yeah, yeah. I don't have to spend all this money. I can just play around because if I don't, I'm like one of those weirdos too. Like if I have somebody design something, I don't want to be like, I don't really like that. It's not really what I'm feeling. Like I don't care if people do that to me, but me doing it to someone else, I'm like, nope, I can't.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I've kept the same because I love what she did, and two, for me, I feel like it's almost like a rank. Like I feel like I want chapters in my life, kind of like you've done as well, to where I want to earn a new logo, to where if we kind of like I did with making different channels, and it's funny you mentioned name. I could have named this a lot of different things, but it was never about me, right? It was never about
Mm-hmm.
me. I wanted Honky Tonk Traditions to be an idea. I wanted it to be something that someone else could replace me because I told myself from the very beginning, and I'm still at this point. You and I just talked about this, what, 2 weeks ago, where I'm like, hey, I'm just gonna delete it all. I'm done with this. And you're like, no, you could do something right here. Like just stay with it. You're gonna be fine. Just like you can just change directions. And that's what my idea was as soon as everything I was teaching, culture, history, etiquette, went mainstream, I was done. This was not, I did not want to be a lifelong instructor or anything like that. I just wanted to be a dude who made sure everyone was represented and went on with life.
A
That's
dude
it.
being a dude.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes. But you were saying switching logos and now you found your most recent. And what is your goal with this new phase? And also, what is your end goal with Mischief Media besides amplifying heart? And of course, I say that because you're an entrepreneur, so you can change it 1,000 different ways. But is it making sure people are seen in their work? And like you know what I'm saying? Like, what is your vision with Mischief Media?
So, like I said, Mischief is built on heart, and I work with a lot of different personalities, a lot of different things. Like for my country dancing side, I've been line dancing since 2014, and I started instructing about 4 years ago, and so that's where kind of like it spiraled too with like the dancing part of it, because dancing's what saved me in so many
Mm-hmm.
different ways, and so I was like, what saved me? I want to save others. I want to be able to showcase that, which is also where it spiraled for the event coordination
Yeah.
well, the dance scene. Like I said, I've been event coordinating for about 10 years, but the dance scene of it, I um, started planning about 2 years ago. And now I'm about to go in number 3 and have a fourth one in the works. So it's not like whatever. So that was the point of the dance scene, was to create a safe, Mischief was to create a, I fucking hate saying safe place, because that just, I fucking hate it. But there's a purpose behind it. I say a safe place because I wanted to build a community. And wow, okay, I guess the sun decided the cloud was spooky season. It's fun.
Everyone working outside right now is thankful for it, and you and I are like, son of a
Shit, we're coming back.
God.
Anyways, whatever. You can just hear me yapping.
Yeah,
So
people are
yeah,
probably just listening to how great our voices are right now. In a
yes.
world.
What is it? The ASMR? It's like,
Yeah.
that shit's so fucking weird to me.
Yeah. We're gonna be talking
Dude,
about
if I start
computer
talking like that, you might get some new listeners.
but we don't want those listeners. Keep it going. Mischief Media, create a safe place.
So yeah, so creating a safe place for dancers to feel more welcome to come into, like, introducing them to the dance scene, because in competitions alone, there's like that, we can do that a whole other episode, we can have that a whole other conversation, but that was the
Exactly, yeah.
point of Mischief's main purpose of event coordination, is that I wasn't liking what some people were doing, and people didn't feel welcome to come into that community. And I'm like, no, dancing is supposed to be for everybody. Now, it is for fun, but when you come into the competition world, like, there's a huge significant difference between social dancing and competitions, or at least there should be. Yeah. So again, that can be a conversation after we get to this.
Also, I think we should make it clear in country dancing, we didn't have comps before like the 80s, 90s, 80s, when ballroom UCWDC was founded, I think in early 80s, late 7, early 80s, early 80s, maybe
Yeah,
mid.
something
Either way,
like that.
until that was founded and like we had ballroom country decide to like make its own, we never had comps in bars. It was all social dancing. So continue.
Yeah. So, and I love to see all these people trying to do it. I love that. I love that people want to create. I say that. Let me backtrack that. I say that because there's so many people out there that are doing it as a money grab, and it is the most disheartening thing. And you're hurting people like myself, for example, that are trying. Like there are a lot of event directors that I work with personally, and it's not a money grab. And I absolutely love and adore them, and I learn from them. They mentor me on like the big names like that. I've been mentored, and I've picked things up. But there are so many things going on right now where it's like it's a fucking money grab, and it's disgusting. If you do this because you're like, this is a trend right now and you can make money off of this, I'm sorry, I'm gonna flat out say it, and I can say it because I don't give a fuck. You're fucking gross. You're what's wrong with the community if you're doing this kind of stuff for money grabs. I'm just gonna say it. And I'm gonna turn this light on because I'm freaking
Go
myself
for it.
out.
And I can keep going. So now y'all understand, for all my Honky Tonk Traditions fans, you understand why I brought Harley on, because she's kind of a no BS gal. She sees things the way I see it, although we do have different perspectives. We see a lot of things the same, but we also have the same character and heart behind what we do. And mainly that's just truth. And so I hope a lot of people that might be coming here for Harley and Misschif Media will recognize we're very similar. We just approach things a little different. Not approach
A
things
little
different.
bit different. A
We
little
approach
bit.
things. We approach things a lot the same. It's just I think we have different thresholds, and that's what I'm also curious, because we could. I think you're heading into a direction I want to head into. I still want to focus on you though, because we can get to the dance. So I'm going to take it back and push towards another
So what
tangent.
the big picture is. So if this is the first time you've ever heard of me or heard me talk, I have a mindset of a squirrel, and I can go on tangents, especially when it's stuff that I'm passionate about. But just bear with us. Bear with me here. And if you know me, you already know this is how I am. So it's like you just have to grab my face and be like, right here first. But yeah, so big picture for Mischief, I don't know what that's going to look like for events, because one of the things that I've become, and of course I turn the light on, the sun's coming back out. It's fine. But one thing that I'm super passionate about is working with musicians, and that kind of has been spiraling uh in a direction that I was not expecting it to go into. I just kind of was doing it at first, be like, oh, music is my passion. Music is something where my heart lies. So I kind of put my hands in the cookie jar to go wherever the music takes me. Um, a new saying that I've been kind of dabbling in is like, I've always said, like, letting the wind take me where it wants, but letting the vinyl spin me how it needs. And I'm still working on that one though, because that was where the rebrand came from, was the vinyls. And as you can see, I have vinyls hanging up, but the vinyl, because my vibe is very retro-y, very old school, because I'm old school. There's a lot of things in my life that I'm very old school, but I was raised by my grandfather. And so that was the point of the rebrand, because I want to push towards music. And I've already started intertwining dance with musicians in their songs. That's one way that I'm trying to do that. The big picture goal is Mischief to turn into a one-stop shop marketing media for musicians and dancing things. I'm still dabbling on the dancing side of it, because I really love having the opportunity to intertwine dancing with these newer artists. And one thing that I wish I could preach more to artists is like, I have artists all the time reach out to me about like, hey, I have this really good dance or this really good song that could be a really cool line dance or a partner dance or this or that. And it's like you're almost there. But that tempo, man, because like I don't expect an artist to understand like the BPMs and the tempos and like all the different styles of dancing. And sure, you can listen to a song and move your feet to it. That's pretty much what half the time dancing is, anyways.
Feet to music? That's
I said what I said.
crazy.
Yeah, I know. Hot topic right there we could get into. Because like I don't think I could ever fully get rid of dancing in my life as much as I would want to. I don't want to get rid of it. I just don't want that, because somehow I have now turned into this only media for the music industry or for the dance industry. And when I tell you it drives me fucking insane, it drives me insane. I'm good at what I do. I'm working to perfect what I do because I love it. But there's so, like in Shrek, I'm an onion. There's so many layers behind me. I may make you cry. I may add some flavor to your food. You don't fucking know, but there's so many layers to me. I just made that up. It's fine.
We're gonna run with it.
Hey, it sounded good, so whatever. Um, I expect that part to be in a reel, by the way. The onion
Noted.
part. But yeah, so and eventually what I would love, and I know I've talked to you about this for the last couple of years, I would eventually love to own my own honky tonk and to build my own honky tonk and to where it intertwines everything Misschif Media of or just Mischief. So Mischief is an umbrella. Like I have Mischief events, Mischief Media, like Mischief is an umbrella. And I want to call it Mischief's eras. And this is I'm going to talk about it for a second to
Hey,
manifest
Taylor
it.
Swift.
Um well, so here, but I ask you, now I'm going to change my name. The point of the eras is because my favorite is the 40s, the 50s, and the 80s. Those are my favorite eras. So I
Skip the
want,
best country era. The 70s and the country era is goaded.
see when my, you're
That's
right.
the
You're
outlaw
right.
era. That's
Yeah, no,
goat
you're right.
gear.
Okay. But when I say
No, no,
like,
no, don't let me change it.
no, but when I say that though, because like around the 40s was like World War II when women could finally get into the work field. And then
Mhm.
it kind of like, there's different historical things not having anything to do with music. Excuse me. That's just like, those are my favorite eras for different reasons in history. And so, like, I want, like, this is the image that I want is to have my dance hall side of it to where it's the honky tonk, it's the saloon side of it. And then you, in the I forgot the 1920s. I love the roaring 20s not quite for the party scene of it, the excitement, the liveliness, that side of the 1920s and the prohibition and the speakeasy
What, you don't
kind
like
of
going into the Great Depression?
yeah, that
You don't
no,
like the
there's only
Dust
pieces.
Bowl? Come on, come
Pieces.
on.
I know. Pieces like the prohibition, like that type of like style and era. So my image of it is to have the honky tonk, the saloon side of it. And then you have to go through a portal door, like a speakeasy door, and that's going to be where like events can be held in a cigar bar and
Mhm.
like the things the lounge area, but it's going to be like 1920s era. So then you turn into it and there's going to have different things like memorabilia to where like the artists that I work with I'm going to have live music. Like that is going to be a must to where it's going to give the stage for the smaller artists that want to travel, that want to book to where that intertwines that as well. My music, my dancing, my events all in one big old bubble. So the vinyl behind it all is to intertwine all of the things that I love. The marketing, the music, the dancing, because you can't have dancing without music. Like it's just, it felt
Crazy
more
thought.
I know. I know that's like I had a conversation with Chase McDaniel about it and like music it, when we say like it's really hard for people to hear like music and dancing is healing. Like they intertwine, but they don't intertwine on the same level. Like you need no shit, you need music to dance.
People would
Shit.
disagree with you, and I think that's a ballroom mindset because ballroom is meant to be the dance that can go over all genres. But if we're talking about country dance, you can't have country dance without country music. I can two-step to
Well,
50 Cent, but the point is, it doesn't look like country. It doesn't. It's hard to have that crazy concept here. It doesn't look like what country people do. For example, I always seek to make it look like I'm in a saddle. Actually, I don't seek to. It just happens. A Texas two-step, if you look at just people's hips up, it looks like they're riding a horse, as it should, right? If we're just walking, I realized today traditional two-step looks like you're chasing a soccer ball as like you're trying to be nonchalant about it. You're like, oh, let me go get it. Let me go get it. And you're just kind of you're like your shoulders are just doing this. You're kind of doing this, and your feet are just walking. So it'd be as if you're like a ball went past you, like, oh, I'll get it. Let me go grab it real quick. And this is what you're doing. But a Texas two, it does that. So it makes you like it legitimately looks like you're in a trot and you're just hanging out, right? Same thing with a polka.
sounds like you got a new content idea.
No, I've tried. I've tried. That you want to talk about layers? You want to talk about history? You know how much there's so much I would like to talk about. What happened to it's not crocheting. What is it the in especially in the South, like when we made shawls.
Knitting?
The the like intense like I've seen these old ladies and it would take them decades to perfect it, but
Yep.
you like threads and you just mix them and it creates
Mm-hmm.
these designs. We're going to lose so much craft because it's gone. It's like the next generation isn't taking it because tradition's hard. Traditions are really hard. And when we think that history doesn't matter, when you're talking about prohibition, like moonshining, when you're talking about NASCAR, all of that bleeds into what we're doing today. You talked about you were in law enforcement. Like our relationship with also certain parts of our government is also in the culture. And the thing is, we can't talk about that in the dance community. We're going to get into this later, but we can't talk about it in the dance community yet because we still have high level people literally blatantly saying culture doesn't matter. And it makes absolutely no sense to me. Music, people say music doesn't matter. And I'm like, in hip hop is literally rap that you dance to. It's R&B that you dance to, right? So it's like
Mhm.
they even have a separation between music and dancing music. There's a big difference, right? And that's not to say one's better than the other, but that's to say you can't just play country music, how broad it is, and expect people to be able to dance. And I think that's a tip to any artist. Correct me where I'm wrong,
That
Carly.
is something that I've been wanting to push out too. I legit just haven't had time to actually push it out myself. Is that something that I wish artists would understand more, that if they want to reach out and work with dancers, and I honestly right now would be the prime time. I
We're in
just
a
got to do something
renaissance.
with yeah, right. I've been just got to do stuff with Jason Michael Carroll with a line dance, and it's country music, and it's a perfect dance to do for like an all level type of event. And when he first reached out to me, I've worked with Jason. He is my favorite person in the whole world to work with. I've worked with him when he was recording it. I was in his studio with him doing it. I got to do a couple of his gigs, and then I got to do his release, and I choreographed a line dance um, to his new release, to his new album that's coming out. And it's not the first time that somebody's reached out to me. One, I didn't really ever picture myself being a choreographer.
Mm-hmm.
Bless Selena Red Boots on the dance floor for helping me
Mm-hmm.
because my brain capacity, like I wanted to do it and I was like, this is a good song to be able to do this to, but my brain capacity was like, I can't do this alone. Things we're learning to not do things on our own. Uh, so like that is a tip to artists. Like if you want to work with line dancers, this is or just dancers in general, this is a perfect era to be doing that, to
Mm-hmm.
push your music out because there's so much and people will eat that shit up to work with an artist. Even if you are a small time artist, that's how it starts. I couldn't tell you the amount of time, like Chase McDaniel. So when I keep referring to him because I just did an interview with him a couple weeks ago. We talked about Project and the line dance Toxic. And he's like, I wrote this song, no intention of having a line dance to it. And he's like, honestly, this is what brought me back out here. This is what, to continue. Like, it's part of like the big movement that he's doing with mental health and suicide prevention and like all these other things. But he was like, that line dance and the tight knit of the community is what was like really skyrocketed that song. And that can happen with the right people.
Mm-hmm.
Because I say that just because, okay, you know what? Hot topic, hot take here, hot topic, haha, whatever. Um,
It's not a
just
phase.
because you're a good dancer does not mean you can choreograph a dance. And not every song needs a line dance to it. I don't care how people feel on that. That is my personal opinion. Not every damn song needs a line dance. And it's really frustrating because like as an instructor too, it's really frustrating because I just I can't keep up. I don't have
Mm-hmm.
time to keep up. But anyways, different subjects, different time. I can get real deep real quick on a lot of things.
Well, that's I think
Uh,
right there. It's just it's sum it up. It's the fact that artists and dancers need to work together. And on the artist side, we clearly understand that a line dance can catapult people into success and give them the money they deserve, 100%. But to make a song and then feel as though line dancing is like a PR campaign, that's the wrong way to look at it. And on the
mhm,
flip side, dancers, we have to recognize that our connection to artists is just as important as them understanding that a waltz is 3/4 time, to understand what a polka is, to understand what a two step is, because when they're writing these songs, they need to understand clearly, write the song, give it what it deserves. Like Gatlin Johnson, I love, he said, serve the song, right? However,
mhm,
if you want to be a honky tonk artist, you need to understand how people are going to dance to this. So again,
mhm,
it's accountability on both sides. That also dancers, if we just give the same style to every single song, how are these people going to know how to change how we move, because country folk love sad songs. We dance to sad songs very often. Does that mean you need to make a sad sound? Not always.
No.
That's the beauty in it, is you can mix a sad song into a lot of different styles. But we as dancers have a responsibility to artists to change to their rhythm, to show them how their song moves the floor. And that way, like you're saying with Jason Michael Carroll, is that he thinks about that in the songwriting process. How do I want the floor to move when I'm playing this song? And that is huge. Instead of like, I was going to ask you about it, but again, we can skip, like, move quicker because we're going to start moving into other subjects. But honky tonks need live music. Streaming makes it very easy. I understand it's comfortable, it's easy. However, if all you think of as a dancer is what song do I want to request, that becomes a very individualistic and consumer type relationship. However, if you get out there with a live band and you're able to look at them and listen and say, okay, this is a two-step, this is a polka, this is a waltz, this is a cha-cha, whatever it is, they are in control of that night. And it's so rude to the band to think that you're in control. It's a relationship. They play the music, you dance how you'd like inside of that rhythm. But if you're going to do the same rhythm to every single thing, it just doesn't make sense to me. Maybe I'm wrong in that, but it's like you're not listening to them.
It's so funny because like I'll be listening to something on the radio or I'll just be hear a song somehow. And even though I'm not like, let me just put this out there now that I'm a very beginner when it comes to partner dancing. You know that I'm a very beginner partner dancing.
You can follow well. You just don't have also the amount of opportunities.
I don't. And I have this, it's so frustrating, but whatever. So it's like a game. Like I can hear, I don't know what it's called, but like when you can feel music, I forget what the word's called, but that's like I can feel music, I can hear music, I can understand steps, I can see the steps. I just don't get to practice it enough to actually get to do it myself. I know if I had the opportunity, I'd be a damn good partner dancer. I know I would, but again, whatever. But I can hear, it's like almost like a game to me. Like, oh, what kind of song is this? Okay,
Yeah.
let me listen to it. Or I catch myself going, quick.
I
Just
teach
like,
my beginners. Yeah. I tell them to listen in the car.
well, and that's what I have a class coming up in my event in Ohio, my Boots and Booze event. The class I'm teaching is actually musicality and feeling the music is what it's called. To me, to kind of intertwine my newer artists with new music and the way that I'm clashing it. This is one back to your question earlier was like, what is something that Misschif, like a goal of Misschif's, is that I would love to intertwine. Let me PSA this real quick. It is not the artist's job to cater to us as dancers, but it just would behoove of you to understand. We should all understand each other, like you said, because again, dancing is such a trend. I can see it dying out, but it is such a trend right now that this is the perfect time to understand those type of things. You're like, I want to write a song. Cool, whatever. Anyways, I would love to be able, even when dancing is not as big of a trend, because dancing will always be a thing. It's whatever form that looks like, it'll always be a thing. Do I believe these competitions and all this will still be a thing forever? Absolutely not. But my thing is that I would love to mesh those two worlds of musicians and dancing. Like I call it, like the thing I had to do at Nashville Dance Fest was called Dancing Heels. Well, when I was talking to Chase, I called it Dancing and Music Heals. Because for me, music's been healing for me for my entire life. That has been my life revolved around even outside of line dancing. And I would love to be in a world where I could that is something that I can do. Like I have an artist that's like, hey, I have this song and I know some cool, people that know how to choreograph a dance, be like, hey, let's intertwine the worlds. Do like how me and Selena did with Jason Michael Carroll. And I think that would level a different type of community. I think that, and that's one thing that I'm so big on community, whatever that world looks like, is that country dancers or dancers in general might open a whole new like community to what this music is. Or this artist, they see a line dance or a partner dance and they see people doing this and putting it in their music videos, which by the way, I've seen an influx of that and I adore that. I love the amount of artists that are like, I want partner dancers. I want this in my music video. I want this. And they're trying to expose it too. I love that. I want more of that. but in the right way. And which I'm not even the type of person to be like, oh, this is the way you should do it. But whatever. Like I'm probably bottom of the totem pole of that kind of opinion, but not here nor there. Yeah. So that is something that I would really love to do with Mischief is intertwine. But I may not have the capacity to be able to choreograph all these dances or whatever. Something that I also do for my events, and I've actually done it for other events that have asked me about music. I'm like, here's a list of good songs to put on your social dancing for two step, for polka, for waltz, for all these things. Here's some artists. So, for example, like Forever Country, I love working with them because they were like, "Hey, do you have some suggestions here?" And I'm like, "Okay, here's the line dances because I'm tired of listening to Mr. Weatherall." And I'm saying that on here because I have expressed that full heartedly as a primary line dancer. I'm tired of Mr. Weatherall in Texas. I know Texas is not line dance friendly, but I don't care. So I gave some suggestions of, you know what, here's line dances, but I also want to put these on your radar too with these musicians for the comp or for whatever it is. Like my last event for the country swing, one of the songs I used was a brand new song. Is by Nathan Wilson. I think it was like Mr. Lonely, but he just released it. And I was like, that's perfect. I'll put it out there. But that's how I've been intertwining it, is putting it into the comps because it makes sense with the footwork. Because I can hear it. May not be able to do it, but I can hear it.
I feel like though any beginner intermediate, that should be our first test. It's great that you can do again like a broken record, but again, that's marketing, right? Saying the same thing 50 times instead of saying 50 things one time. The same thing, like I don't feel we can move into talking about deeper subjects or actually talking about the culture. That's the whole reason I brought this up, is because I would love to get to a point where we can actually start discussing serious things, but we can't until we start understanding basic things like music. And if you are moving into an intermediate level and you can't pass an ear test, I mean, I have guys who can hit the most intense combos. I'm talking like 5 to 6 moves in one cleanly. And they'll look at me when a polka's on and they'll be like, "Is this a waltz?" And I'm like, "Why are you asking me? You've won. You have in a rodeo the highest form." Now, of course, buckles, regional, national levels. Buckles mean something where I'm from.
Like we could have that could be a conversation right there with Buckles.
Yeah, but people aren't ready to talk about it. Either way, you have a buckle, which means you should know. Like a bull rider winning a buckle, it doesn't matter if you are in your city level or P, like you went to the NFR, right? It doesn't matter if you're PBR. It doesn't matter if you're professional. You got in that chute. You know how to stay on top of a bull. It doesn't matter the level of the bull. But we have so many dancers now that are getting paid to travel who can't tell you the difference between a polka and a two-step. They can't even explain it. And that's what I love is when I have people in my class and I always test them. I'll give them tricky songs. I'll give them a slow two-step with the piano. And they're like, "Oh, that's a waltz." And I was like, being slow does not equal a waltz. You can have fast waltzes. Listen to the music. And what I love is when I see people, they don't count. They feel it. So when I turn on the song, they look down at their feet and they close their eyes and they'll just start moving to the music. And I was like, boom, stop thinking, respond to the song. And the next thing you know, when they learn these combos, when they learn these other moves, it just flows through their natural style because they know how their feet are supposed to move and they're able to move into it, So I
No,
digress
well, hold on.
because it
So
all works together.
before you change on that though, how do you so if you see that somebody's just feeling music versus counting, what do you do to that student? Like what do you say to them? I'm just
Who's
curious. I'm
just
just
feeling it?
genuinely asking. Like as you're talking about how you see somebody and you're like, "No, stop. See, that's what you're doing." What do you do to correct or help that student? Like I'm genuinely asking like what do you do in your own classes?
Like if they can't feel it, if they don't move correctly to it, I normally always point back to their natural flow because I always have so many guys, husbands, who will tell me I have two left feet or I can't do this, I can't do that. I'm like, first and foremost, country is not easy, it's simple. And I see, like you were talking about, people who want to do a money grab. They normally see country, as most people do, in an elitist sense. So they think country is the dance to just get drunk in and you just do whatever you want to it. But country has a language. And so on one side, if someone is like a good dancer, but they don't know the culture or they know the culture and don't know how to dance to it, both, I just ask them to stand still. I'm going to play a song, and they start to realize like a waltz, most people naturally sway. And all I do is ask them, are you on time? That's normally the first bit of like, are you swaying on beat? Once they start to sway, okay, now we just have to take what you're hearing and what you're thinking in your head and put it to your feet. And so rarely do I find people, kind of like you were saying, dance will always be. And that's because we as humans naturally respond to music, right? So that's how we got folk dances, was because it's how they made sounds in their area. Your body will naturally respond to the music. I just have to push them in the direction of how country dancers respond to it. And so if they don't respond correctly, I'll show them, right? And rarely, I would say, out of 2 years of instructing, I might have come across like 4 people that can't at least get it here. Does that mean they're the best dancers in the end? No. I can only do so much, right? As an instructor, I can only show them the way, and either they're visual learners, or I have some guys who need the count, and so they're just counters. Like, every person learns differently, and that's what makes you an instructor. Kind of like you said, you can be a great dancer. That doesn't mean you can take an idea and articulate it 5 different ways. So really, I haven't really come across people that once I show them, let them listen to it, and let their body move to it, that they can at least understand the concept, right? It might take 3 lessons, but I've never, the only people that have done more than 3 lessons, normally they have something mentally wrong. And I mean that with complete respect of like they're genuinely autistic or something, and that's okay. All like then I push back then into one step, or I kind of just let them country swing how it used to be, right? I'd kind of just say, hey, enjoy the music, follow etiquette. That's it. I say, this is your
Cool
space.
etiquette. That could be a whole
Just,
other topic too.
I just say, get into this area of every floor you go to the middle, and I just want you to dance. Have fun, make sure you're safe, walk her on and off the floor, and understand this is how people are moving around you. Same thing with driving. What happens when it's kind of the same thing of like, how does a roundabout work? If someone genuinely can't grasp the concept of how a roundabout works, they shouldn't be on the road. However, most everyone can understand this is the flow of traffic. You need to get over there. Out of your skill level, I don't know if you'll ever get better, and that's okay. I want you to stay in this outside lane so that you can get on and off quickly. Now, if they're like, oh, I'm towing a trailer or I'm wearing this, that's a different discussion. That's where private lessons come in, right? However, if someone genuinely can't grasp it, I just show them, give them the counts, show them the music, and after that, everyone usually catches on. So I wish I could answer that. Maybe someone can comment on this or do it, but genuinely, I don't meet people if they feel the music. And I think that's the biggest thing. We don't need to feel the music in the way that ballroom or contemporary dance does, where it's just like, it's whatever you want. Like, no. It is whatever you want inside of this boundary. Because this dance has a boundary. I'm not going to waltz to a polka. You genuinely, like, you can if you know the counts, because both go to 12, the common denominator, a 4-4 and a 3-4, they go to that. However, why would I teach someone that? You know what I'm saying? Why would I be like, all you do is waltz, therefore let me show you how to convert it into a polka? No, I just teach them a polka. I teach them different ways to do things. And that's one thing I think we fail to empower people, like you're saying we want to do, is because it blew my mind. I think it was nearly a year ago. You don't have to be good at every style. We see country dance as country, right? We have two-steppers. We have people that their mind works very technical. Two-step is extremely difficult, by the way, for anyone listening. If you learn two-step as your first style, buckle up. Polka to me is my beginner style because it's literally a mirror. You
Oh,
do
it's so much. It's way easier than two step.
you do a and a
Beginner, yeah,
triple. That's it.
is
And you don't have
way
to think. If
easier.
you're on your left foot, you're about to go to the right. If you're on your right, you're about to go to your left. It's super simple. And also the moves are da 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 da. That's it. That's all you got to do, man. Don't think through it. Two step. Am I on my left or my right foot? Am I on a quick or a slow?
Yeah.
So like that's what I'm saying is like people move differently, and I want to empower people to recognize it's okay to lose a two-step comp, right? It's okay to lose a polka comp, but you might be the best at waltz, and I want to make sure you understand that is what you're looking for when you dance with people. I want you to, as soon as the waltz comes on, I want you to be confident and ready to be proud of what you're about to put on the floor. But when we just teach one style to cover all styles of music, people are going to feel inadequate or they're going to feel too confident. And to be honest, that's what I see most of all is they're like, oh, I know 20 moves, therefore I'm a good country dancer. And I was like, you don't know what you're listening to. You don't know how to teach what you're listening to. And that's a discredit, like you're saying, to the artists that you represent because they're putting so much time and effort. You've seen it in the studio, how much time and effort these guys put into their songs. And we're not putting the same effort into our art, which is an art. You have to paint differently. You have to use different mediums. You have to do different things. But in the end, does it represent the culture? And so we could go on a bunch of different tangents, but I want to make sure people know who you are too and get to hear what you have to say on these certain things. Before we do, I'm curious, do you have any, like you were talking about your grandparents, do you have any ties to agrarian culture? Like, were you raised around a farm? Do you have anything there? Or is this something that, you know, you got into line dancing and you learned to love the culture through that?
So my grandfather's originally from Kentucky. My family actually founded Bath County, Kentucky, as where it really originated. And then growing up, I grew up around the farms, but we could never really afford to do anything like horses and stuff. Like I grew up around it, but my mom was a single parent and she was working all the time, and I was in sports and whatever else. And it wasn't until I was about in my when did I start going over there? I started doing stuff. Clayton was like it was like early 20s, like very, very, I think I was like 20 when I first started. Um, and it wasn't that it didn't have anything. I don't think it really correlated anything with dancing. It was just something that was always something that intrigued me, something that I always wanted to be a part of. And that's part of the reason why I now live in Tennessee and now have acquired working with 4 horses now that I'm now learning how to do all the things on the farm. I don't think it really correlated with the dancing. And to talk about with culture, I get why people say that culture is not important. I can see why, because if you think about it, it's a generational thing. It is the generation that has taken the dance community by a tsunami is generally 18 to 21 years old. That's about the demographic for it. And it started because they are the TikTok kids. That's what I call them, the TikTok kids. They learn things and they see things, what happens on TikTok and what's trending on TikTok. And for a while there, before it got banned, was people were getting famous because they could line dance. People were getting TikTok big, which here's your PSA. It's all bullshit. A lot of your favorite TikTokers are actually assholes and horrible humans, and definitely do not fit the mold of to be a decent effing human. And I say this because I've worked with so many of them. Anyways, yeah. So with the whole culture thing, it was just something like I've always been around it. I just never really was able or had the means. I guess that's a better way to put it. Never had the means or the right type of people until I was in my early 20s. And I started raising my kid on it. I was like, I didn't have the opportunity, so now I'm gonna have my kid a part of it. And now my kid is just now being able to go to these dance events with me, and do things with me because I want him to be exposed to it because I love what it stands for, like the cultural side of it, like with farming and whatnot, the hard work that goes into it, the labor that goes into it. I can see. So while I get what you're saying and I respect and what you're trying to do, I can see why dancers don't care about the culture because to them, dancing is something for them to do or it's a healing matter. And it's good to know the background. No, let me rephrase that. I can see both sides and I can understand both sides. I am a historical person. I am a cultural person. I respect things that have culture behind them. And I got really, really more into that during my time in Japan. I mean, talk about a spiritual awakening. Holy Jesus. Which, fun fact, Japanese people love country dancing. Absolutely love it. The
They have
Coolest
honky
thing
tonks
I've
out there.
oh,
Philly, they have a lot of and they do it
I wish
well.
I would have known about that one when I was out there. I got to teach at one. It was called Nicheville. It had an E instead of an A. It was the coolest thing ever.
It's a
Whatever.
little niche, you know?
It was that part I was so amazed by was how they like embody like really embrace country dancing out in Japan. Anyways, yes.
Did they play
The
country
Japanese
music?
people did. Oh yeah, I was the one I was in charge of the playlist. So yes.
Well, even if you weren't, that's what if people get to see the videos I post on my account, it's kind of crazy. Again, if we don't play country music, we don't look country, we don't have country rhythms, like dance country styles, I just don't know what we're doing.
That just reminded me. Okay, so when I was in the Marine Corps, I got to work with the Dutch and the a lot of people from the UK, and that was I'm not gonna lie, that was probably my favorite part. My time in the Marine Corps was working with the foreigners. And at the time, I was also a bartender at Gus's. And if you don't know what Gus's is, it's a country dance bar in Jacksonville, North Carolina. Everybody makes fun of it because for some reason, when people join the Marine Corps and get stationed in North Carolina, they think they're country. It's the funniest thing in the world. You would shit yourself if you like walked up in it because it's just and there's a boot barn down the street from the damn base, so everybody thinks they're country when they go to Camp Lejeune and they're from like I don't even know. It was the funniest thing. Anyways, so I invited them. I would train them artillery by day, and then take them and tell them to come meet me at Gus's and come teach or come to country dancing, whether it was our nickel draft night on Wednesdays or it was line dance lessons. And the first time I ever hung out with them and had them come in, they said, "This is how I literally pictured America." And I was like,
Yeah.
"What?" They're like, "Yeah." They're like, cheap nasty draft beer because our nickel draft was PBR or Busch Light, whichever one you chose. And I used to be an avid Busch Light drinker, and I wouldn't drink that shit. I wouldn't. It was gross. Anyways, they were like, yeah, cheap, nasty draft beer and line dancing, cowboy hats and boots and all these things. And again, these are Dutch people from the UK, like all kinds of these different cultures. And that's how they were like, this is America. And did we go to a taco stand right afterwards? Yeah. Did we go to a strip club afterwards? Yes, because that's what you do when the bar closes. And they wanted to see the culture. They're like, yep, this is America. But, anyways, back to the culture thing. I think just the hard part with preaching that, right? I truthfully don't think we would ever get to an era or a time where people are going to start talking about culture. And do I think people should know about it? Do I think people should understand it? Yes. But that is me talking as someone that loves history. Some people just don't care. And I get it. Right now, though, my beagle keeps moving my desk, as you can see, his tiny little butt. Anyways, right now we're in an era, which I kind of love seeing, is that making competitions country music, making country dance events country music. And there's a whole influx of it. People either falling out of love with the dance community, which is kind of, I get it, but there's a push for that. And so there's things, and like me and you, or like quite a few other people have been preaching that. That I think is where the culture is going to come to life, and to where we go back to the country, whether that's the old school, the new school, whatever type of era of country it is. I think that's when the culture is going to be tied into it, because yes, it's called country dancing, but then I can say this because I did it. I know there was a lot of riffraff about me playing a T-Pain song during my competition back in March, but it was a freestyle. There was no set style of dance. It was a freestyle, stationary partner dance. And when I say that, it's because I am not a fucking partner dancer. And I want to be. Do I want to be? Yeah, sure. But I am primarily a line dancer. My first event was only line dancing. That was my way to open the door to something that I'm about and don't have a lot of background in. And that is why I opened it to freestyle. So whatever song played, this was also me tying in the musicality side of it. That song playing would dictate what style of dance. Now, granted, did everybody do fucking country swing? Or attempt to do country swing? Sure. Yeah. Whatever. But that is why I did that, because that was my, again, way Mischief does things, trying to intertwine things in a different way. So I didn't say it had to be West Coast. I didn't say it had to be country swing, East Coast, Bar Coast, all these different styles. I'm going to play a song. You need to listen to the music and figure out the footwork on it. So that was kind of where that was at. But if you're going to label it like country swing, make sure you're playing country swing music. If you're going to do a two-step, don't play a waltz song, because that's been a thing here lately. It's clearly a waltz song, or clearly there was one comp I was watching and it was very. Could you do it? Sure, yeah, you could, but if you're an event and not a new event, you should know the difference. Same thing with, I heard a polka song. I'm like, how are people supposed to country swing to a polka song? Like, maybe I'm wrong, maybe because I'm not, maybe because I am, don't have the background or the knowledge enough, but I felt like, and then I heard complaints. I don't know what it is, but I love this. So if somebody's actually here and listening to this still, I love that people come and tell me things and people feel that I am that safe place where they can give me the feedback, not have to worry about like backlash or repercussions or whatever. I've always been that way, even outside before dance. But like, I hear all the feedback. I get all the things. Like, even with me being in certain areas, I get like, I got a text the other day that said, we don't feel comfortable doing these comps anymore or going to these events anymore because everything's rigged. It's always the same people. It's always the same things or whatever it is. And it always seems fishy how certain things happen. And I'm like, okay, if that is what you were seeing, okay. Because I don't see everything. I don't. So when people tell me these things, it's like, anyways, I'm on a tangent now. Back to the whole culture thing. I warned y'all at the beginning. Back to the cultural thing. I really think the music is where that culture is where it's going to be and how it's going to come to life. And then that's that. My dog is eating my coat.
Well, I'm gonna, it's not necessarily a pushback, but the thing I'm curious, you mentioned something about a healing space for these guys and they don't have to care about culture. For me, I don't think I hold regulars accountable. It's when they start posting and when they start becoming instructors, which that's naturally what happens. We win a comp, we start teaching lessons, we form a group, and then we become an instructor, and all of a sudden people get hired to teach us stuff, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not here to gatekeep. I've always said gatekeeping is left for the children. But like you're saying starting with the music, I agree. In all of those three categories of what makes country dancing, we have to do something. And I think the music is the best thing to start with. But then again, it starts the conversation of what is country music? I wish we could table that conversation, right? But what you're kind of saying is in these comps, it should be promoting something. And that's where also a lot of people try to say I'm gatekeeping by asking for boots. When in reality, a lot of country styles should be sliding. You can't slide in your tennis shoes and fuegos and other things. Those are meant for stationary styles. They're also meant for all types of floors. But in a country dance comp, we should be doing our best, but not everyone has it, hardwood floors. That's why every country song you hear talks about not concrete slabs. Doesn't always talk about dancing in the fields. It talks about dancing on hardwood floors. And the whole reason for that is leather and wood slide together, and that pushes you to dance a certain way. So I'm not here to make every TikToker the most cowboy, farmer, redneck person, but they should know this stuff. And that's why I see, if you're saying that it's okay for these guys to not know culture, agreed. That's fine. But if you're going to step into a leadership role, not just that, where do the country folk go for a healing space? Where do the country folk go to dance? Because they can't compete, which again, I don't think comps make you a country dancer. However, if something is to call themselves a honky tonk or a country dance comp, or like you're saying, a specific style, and then they show up to this, like I have many times, I haven't competed in over a year now because of it. If you say this is like a country dance comp and you're going to promote a closed position and two-step, why are people winning who don't close position, who don't two-step, who don't do these things? So if we want to make a safe space for these TikTok guys, where do the country folk go? Because they can't go to the nightclubs. They can't go to really anywhere else because there's no dancing outside of festivals, bluegrass festivals that type out in the middle of nowhere, folk and bluegrass Americana, nightclubs, which have a culture of not dancing. People in the nightclubs are also complaining. And then you have country bars. Again, it's the only place that you have live music nowadays. Swing clubs are dead. The only place you can go that regularly has live music, drinks, and dancing are honky tonks. So I'm curious what you would say if we're okay with them not learning culture or wanting culture, or at least respecting it and saying out loud, like, again, to have the goal to say that country doesn't matter, or culture rather doesn't matter in country dancing when it's the last living traditional dance. Where do we make space or maybe change the semantics that country folk or people who do care about the culture can find that safe space to express themselves?
So I think one of the problems where it's not about what you're saying, it's how you say it, because the word culture could mean so many different things. And I think that's part of why there's a pushback with the word culture, because that could mean the stuff like you brought up with the boots, right? The boots in your attire and how they would wear. You posted it one time. I think it was the Australia line dance comp with the girls with the really pretty dresses, or like how Forever Country is doing the medley, and you have to, like, that is a requirement that you have to be in that attire, that specific style of attire. That is culture. That is a piece of culture. And I think when you say culture, that generation thinks history, because it's a lot of what you preach. You preach a lot about the history of stuff. And while that is important, that's the piece I believe will not ever be important to anybody. As far as like the culture of attire or culture of music or culture of things, I think it is going in that direction. I truthfully, I think, because I see more and more people talk about it. So here's my thing with like the boots part. I love that. I absolutely love that. I would love for my events to be that way. But here's why I don't do it. I have a chronic stress fracture in my right leg. And I'm forever stuck with it because I got mistreated in the military. Even when I try to get it fixed, try to get all these things done, by the time I got to a real doctor, whatever. Besides the point, I'm forever stuck with cracks in my tibia. I can't wear boots that I can dance in. Like, I can wear my shit kickers all day long. I can wear those whatever, whenever. Those don't bother me. I can't stay in my dancing boots because eventually I start having pain in my right leg. So when I work events, for example, I will wear tennis shoes or put the dance socks on them, because I mean, you've seen me to where I intertwine. I'll go social dance for a second, and then I'll go back to doing my media stuff. So the point I'm getting at here, it's hard for me to require people to do these things when I can't do them myself because
I
I'm
think you
injured, and
can.
I know I'm in so much pain that's why I say I can't do it, because I cannot. I just I don't feel right to me to require something if I'm not going to do it myself. If I am not going to be in boots the entire time of my event or whatever it is, am I getting better? Yes. So maybe down the road I can't. Maybe come February, maybe I will, or maybe I'll be fine. But in the meantime, I think it's just something I can't. I can't require something I can't do myself. So that's where I'm at. Now with like George doing it, for example, for Standard Western, I love what he's doing. Does he get pushback on it? Sure. I love that. But I love that he's requiring the pearl snaps and, the boots and all these different things. I love that. Do I require that you cannot be showing your tatas and your junk and your booty? I get pushback on that. I don't care. I don't want to see that stuff. That is not something you should be wearing in a competition in general. But I think with that, again, back to the music, back to the attire and things like that, I truthfully do think if this trend keeps up with country dancing, I think it will go to that. It's slowly starting to pick up with the music side of it. I have seen more baby comps switching to the attire thing. It's coming, but again, the whole point of what I'm getting at is I think when you say the word culture is why people are like, "Oh no, nobody cares about the culture." They do care about the culture. It's about in what perspective are you talking about the culture. I don't think the history lesson will ever. It's just the kids probably didn't even pay attention in school. They're all digitalized kids now. So where they want to know something real quick, they'll Google it, or they'll use their phone for everything, or this horrendous, everything's learned off of TikTok. And that's one thing I hate is that I actually just had this conversation with Clay the other day. Clay and I were talking about doing an educational segment together to where we talk about the etiquette. But listen. So I would be bringing it from a line dance perspective. He would be bringing it from a partner's perspective for things like etiquette. Because something I learned, and I pitched this to him. He didn't pitch it to me. I pitched it to him because I don't remember how we got on the subject. Because something I learned the more and more I become as an event director and I watch and I hear and all these other things, people don't know what they don't know. But it's also, and something I've yelled at you multiple times, it's not about what you say, it's how you say it. So people are not educated in a sense when it comes to dance etiquette. People saw a trend and instantly ran to the bars. They didn't know what the fuck dance etiquette was. They didn't know that there's like basically a racetrack or how you called it a roundabout. They don't know. And so it's up to, and I'm pretty sure it was you that we've had this conversation before too, is that again, people don't know what they don't know. So they don't know that there's an outside lane, then there's an inner lane, and then there's the middle. People don't know. Actually, no, I know who it was. I got into it with people, Texas folk on social media. Um, and the question I can ask is, are you too busy bitching on social media about this, or are you actually educating these people? Because I guarantee you, 90, this is not a real statistic. This is just me saying things. I guarantee you about 80% of the dance community right now, the demographic from 18 to about 25, don't actually know that dance etiquette is a thing. I guarantee you there's not even, if there wasn't, as they call them, step sheet police, I guarantee if those weren't like the few that are out there, that same demographic wouldn't know what a step sheet is when it comes to line dancing, or what copper knob was, or what any of these things, or even people that talk about the different styles or these different events. If there wasn't certain people talking about it and educating things, because there is more to just dancing. There's more than just moving your feet, but it's about how you enter the community in the first place. Did you enter the community to just dance? Hey, fuck it, we ball. This is just what I want to do because I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, and this is the only time that I have, a peace of mind is that 3 minutes on the dance floor, whether it's a partner dance or a line dance. Or are you the type of person that's like, I love teaching, so I want to continue my education? That right there alone is something a lot of people miss because they think that they have these buckles that they know what they're doing, but there's so much into it. There's so much into the community. It's just about how the type of audience you need to be talking to. Are you talking to the ones that are just like, man, I'm just here. I just want to do my dance.
So how
Call
do
it
we
a
know the
day.
difference between the two?